Boxing truth here. All right, let's promote this fight a little bit. Since there hasn't been much promotion about this fight, haven't heard much talk about it. Mayweather's too busy promoting Chris Brown versus Soldier Boy. Doesn't seem like anybody's talking about this fight. It's a significant fight in the super middleweight division, featuring Badou Jack, who holds the WBC strap, and James Degale, who holds the IBF title, in a unification fight that will determine who is the number one super middleweight. The winner of this fight will be regarded as the Ring Magazine belt holder, pretty much the lineal champion of the super middleweight division, whoever wins this fight. So it's significant. It will determine the number one super middleweight, though there'll be debate on who is the number one super middleweight. There's other guys out there as well. But it's an in-house fight. On the Heyman side, Mayweather's promoting the card. Well, kind of. And it's two guys who are fighting at the Barclays Center. One's from Sweden, and Badou Jack. The other guy's from England. An English guy. Doesn't really make much sense to have them fight in New York, but it is what it is. That's the venue. That's where it's taking place. And it's going down this Saturday to kick off Showtime's new year, their new schedule that for the first quarter of fights that they had scheduled in 2017. And it's a decent card. The co-feature has about another Mayweather promoted fighter, Gervonta Davis and Jose Pedraza. Davis is challenging for his first world title. So a lot on the line here for Mayweather, as he has his two more recognized fighters from his stable either fighting for a world title or defending a world title or in a unification fight. So lots riding on Mayweather Promotions. It could either be a good night or a very bad night. But let me just break down this fight before I give my prediction. And I watched footage on both guys. Just been doing some studying with their style, how they fight, and how they look in their recent performances. And let me talk about James Degale first. Now, Degale, he's really been struggling in his past couple of fights. He's had life and death struggles against an old Butte and against a fringe contender in Porky Medina. He struggled mightily in his last fight against Porky Medina. Really received the gift. Got his ass whooped in that fight. Just look at his face afterwards. The whole fight he was getting walked down, getting pressured, and getting beat up against the ropes. Body shots, combinations to the head and body. And all Degale pretty much did was run around the ring, throw one punch at a time, throw these corny uppercuts that weren't very effective. Would land it sometimes, but wasn't powerful. Nothing on them. Degale is just full of himself, man. Thinks he's a legend. That he's some elite prize fighter. Even with the way he fights, showboating all the time. Sticks his tongue out at his opponent when the opponent is kicking his ass. Always has his hands down like he's so slick, but he's not. Defensively, he's trash. He's very easy to hit, very easy to cut off the ring against because his footwork ain't elite. He's got decent movement, but it ain't great either. He doesn't know how to use it to his advantage, and he's always getting pinned against the ropes or the corner and getting laced up with combinations to the head and body. Got his ass whooped by a guy he shouldn't have gotten his ass whooped. Elite prize fighters don't struggle with Porky Medinas of the world. But that's exactly what happened with James Degale. But luckily, he received the gift and his career moves on with an opportunity to unify the division. Now, with the way Degale's been performing his last couple of fights, not looking great, getting beat up, getting his face battered, and just not impressing me one bit. I just don't see what some fans see in this guy. Very flawed fighter, very beatable fighter. Not the slickest guy, not the fastest guy, not the most athletic guy, and he's not the most powerful guy either. There's nothing great about James Degale. He does everything pretty much average. Doesn't have great speed. Probably the best thing about him is that he moves. He can move, but that's all he does. He runs around the ring and doesn't throw enough punches. Doesn't have a great gas tank either. Tires in his fights. He's not consistent with his offense. and always finds himself in these life and death struggles, especially lately in his last couple of fights. Now, Badou Jack, I'm much more impressed with how he fights. He has better technique. He throws shorter, tighter punches. He really is a textbook boxer. Leads behind the jab. He has a really good right hand, powerful right hand, can hurt you with it. And I saw his fight with George Groves, and it was a very, very good fight. I didn't have a chance to watch it since it was on the undercard of Mayweather Berto. I wasn't watching that shit. I mean, I watched the main event, but I wasn't able to watch the co-feature. But I finally was able to watch uh, Badou Jack against George Groves, and I was impressed in that performance by Badou Jack. He looked really good in the fight, clearly won it, and Badou Jack, he's been able to overcome the odds. He's been able to show some character after getting chin checked by Derek Edwards and learning fight that he was supposed to pass, but ended up being a devastating defeat, getting iced in one round. But that's boxing. It could happen. He got caught. Pretty bad. Couldn't recover, and that's how it went down. But it doesn't matter how you go down. What matters is how you bounce back from defeat. And that's the important part. And Badou Jack has been able to overcome the odds, has been able to cause upsets, beat up Anthony Durrell, took his WC strap. Then he was able to beat George Groves, who I believe was the favorite in that fight. And he did it very impressively. He had good technique. He was throwing good straight short punches, was countering, was landing the right hand, and he was ripping the body. That's what's the most impressive about Badou Jack. He's a good body puncher. That's why they call him Jack the Ripper, because he's going to be ripping those body shots all night. He's not a volume guy like Porky Medina. Medina threw a lot of punches against James Degale, but he's a more consistent guy offensively compared to Degale. He doesn't throw a multitude of punches, a lot of punches, but he's always consistent with his jab, his right hand. He has a decent stick to the body, and he always works the body very well, so he can take your energy out. And he's a big, strong, solid super middleweight. He's a solid fighter. He's a well-schooled fighter, solid pedigree, solid amateur background. He has a pretty good gas tank, and he's got a lot of confidence. He's coming with a lot of confidence. Yeah, he's coming off the draw with Butte. I only watched that fight once. I didn't really score it. From what I saw, I thought Badou Jack was in control, but I missed the latter part of the fight, the last 3 rounds. So I don't know what happened, and I can't find that fight anywhere on YouTube. So I wasn't able to watch that fight. I was able to watch the fights before Badou Jack's with Butte. So, but I felt he was in control in the beginning part of the fight. But Badou Jack has really improved since the Derek Edwards fight. Yes, he's been working with Memo Heredia. Maybe the Memo shakes have had an effect, but it is what it is. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's going to be the gray area, whatever. But he's been looking impressive his past few fights. Even in the Butte fight, from what I saw, he was in control. And then I heard Butte came back strong to close out the fight and ended up being a majority draw. But I feel Badou Jack is the better fighter. He's been looking better in his more recent performances. He throws nice, tight, short punches, has good technique, can rip through the body. And I feel he's going to pull off the upset against James Degale. Degale just doesn't impress me. He tries to be flashy, but he's not. A lot of movement, but it's mostly running. Throws mostly one punch at a time. He'll throw a combination when he's getting his ass whooped. So, because he senses that he has to respond. And in the fight against Medina, when Medina was whipping his ass, then he will come back and throw a combination. But it's very few far in between. Mostly just jerks around, he fucks around and plays in the rings too much showboating, not enough fighting. Sticks his tongue out at you when you're whipping his ass. It's pathetic. But the only thing that's that may be difficult for Jack is the movement of Degale. He's gonna have to chase Degale down. I see Degale running a lot in the fight. I haven't seen Jack really fight a mover in his career from the fights that I've seen of him. He's fought guys that mostly stay in the pocket, straight up and down guys that that use their jabs, but he hasn't really fought a guy that employs a lot of movement. But I still think Jack is fundamentally sound enough to be able to close the distance, to be able to trap Degale, get him against the ropes, get him in the corner. And it's not like Badou Jack is one-dimensional. He's got good movement as well. He can box as well, but he mostly likes to lead off the jab, land his right hand, and stick you with the body, jab to the body, and he likes to land his body shots, likes to rip to the body, and he's definitely got to do that in this fight. He's got to use his strength, land on Degale's body, wear out his legs. Don't have him moving too much. Pin him against the ropes, cut off the ring, trap him in the corner, because Degale always lets himself be trapped in corners. He just got to unload, land combinations, land body shots, and he should get the decision. He's the A side in the fight. He's the Mayweather promoted fighter. Degale has received a gift before, but this is a different fight. He's fighting a Mayweather promoted fighter. He's not the A side. And he's an outsider in this fight. He made the decision to sign with Heyman. He's made some money, but he hasn't really been active. Wasn't able to get a homecoming in between since the time off, and now he's heading into this fight. Pretty much the same inactivity as Badou Jack. Badou Jack also didn't only fought once last year. They fought on the same card together, and now they're fighting each other to unify the division. And I see Jack just landing the better, harder shots, will establish his jab, will rip through the body, and Degale just won't be that effective. Mostly flash, but just not enough firepower. Doesn't have the power really to hurt Badou Jack. He's not a knockout artist, I would say, and not a good enough boxer, not slick enough to get away from Badou Jack's body shots, his jab, and his jab to the body. I see Badou Jack starting out very well. It'll be competitive the first half of the fight. Some rounds will be hard to score because Jack is not the most. He doesn't throw many punches. Usually around 40 to 60 in a round. Very economical with his shots. Doesn't like to waste shots, but he has to make them count. And Degale looks like he's gonna be taking another L. I'll be surprised if he beats Badou Jack handily, or if he beats him clearly. If he gets a gift decision, it is what it is. But I got Badou Jack, and I predict a great night for Mayweather Promotions, as I think Davis is also possibly going to get the nod against Jose Pedraza. All he has to do is make the distance, and he probably will. Pedraza, I don't view him as much. Probably one of the weaker champions out there, and he's also coming off inactivity. And Pedraza, Davis, he has some explosion, some power. He's a younger guy, but he's fought, some low-level opposition. But if he can make the distance, keep it close, I think he'll get the nod. I'm predicting a great night for Mayweather Promotions. They'll gain a new champion, and they'll have a unified champion in Badou Jack. But y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.